Good morning, everybody. This is Paul Carruthers. I'm the communications manager for Moto America, and this is our weekly podcast, Off Track. I do the show weekly with Sean Bice, who's my cohort out in Ohio. We have various guests from the MotoGP, from the Moto America paddock, mostly our riders from start to finish, and we cycle through them. We talk to them as much as we possibly can. We talk to other people in the paddock, and we try to keep it light and have a nice informative show that people and our fans of Moto America can learn something from. So, Sean, good morning. I know it's not as early there as it is here, but I just rolled out of bed for this one.
Yeah, good morning. Mid-morning for me here on a beautiful day. And boy, that was quite a round we just came out of. Funny not going to VIR last year and coming in there this year. It's like, really missed it. That track produces some amazing racing, and what a unusual configuration that is to set up for amazing racing too. So that was a great weekend.
Yeah, I think the riders all like the track. It's obviously a good place for fans, and we had a ton of fans this week. It was, I came back from that one really happy. It just had a good feel to it. It's nice to have people there. It was nice to return to VIR after not being able to go there last year because of COVID. So I think the fans were really enthusiastic, and obviously it was a good show because basically all the races had good races from start to finish and throughout the pack. So yeah, it was one of those feel-good weekends, and it just makes me look forward to Road America, which I think is going to be unbelievable. I think that's an event that I think people are going to really sit back and go, holy crap, Moto America's arrived, and look at this show, look at the professionalism, look at the amount of people, and Road America will be the perfect place to showcase, like not a new beginning, but it's like, I feel like we maybe have reached that tipping point where we can start to get a little bit of a snowball effect as far as fans and things like that. So.
Yeah. It's funny about Road America too. One of the things about that track, besides the fans and the brats and the beer and everything about being up there in Wisconsin, one thing I always remember is, and it's about our guest today, and the fact that I'll never forget when he won a Supersport race there, and he had bet his dad that if he won that race that he had to quit smoking. And it's been a number of years now, but it seems like it's like last year to me. And it's something fun. So, I'm teasing that a little bit, Paul, but you can set it up to bring him in, and we can talk about how that Road America thing is pretty special to him.
Well, our guest today is Stefano Mesa. He's always one of our favorites. He's a funny guy, and he's a hell of a motorcycle racer. If you've watched our TV shows at all, you see he's got his family helping him, but there's times when it seems like he's a one-man band, changing his own tires, and the guy's just a nonstop worker. And then I don't think people realize how difficult it is to do all that work and then jump on the motorcycle and go perform and try to perform at the same level as guys that are fresh out of the motorhome and the air conditioning, and they just hop on the bike that's perfectly prepared by somebody else. So I give him full props for that. He's a true privateer, and the guy gets it done. He's third in the Supersport Championship this year, second in race 1 at VIR, third in race 2 at VIR. He had a DNF and a 4th place finish at Road Atlanta to start his season. Unfortunately, he's been banged up a little bit, and that's kind of forced him to step aside a little bit from the Stock 1000, but we're going to talk to him to see if that's going to come back. Being in the situation that he's in, the guy races a lot, and that's how he makes his money. So I can't see that he's not going to be back on that Stock 1000. I think it's just a case of healing up a little bit. But why don't we start with that question? Stefano, how are you this morning?
Hey, how are you guys? Over here, pretty good morning. Driving actually to Summit Point today. So, how
okay.
You say? I'm going racing.
So when you go to those races, especially after you just had a weekend at VIR, your riding, I'm curious to know, does your riding have to step up quite a bit at Moto America compared to what it does when you just go and pick pockets at these other races? And I mean pick pockets. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in a positive way. But is there a difference in how hard you have to ride, or do you ride the same?
That's a good question. Obviously, at some events, you have the fast guys that show up, right? Jeff May shows up sometimes. Xavier shows up sometimes. So I think it just depends what kind of riders are there and what kind of competition is there, and that's how you plan out your weekend, you know?
Right. Now, as far as the super sport class goes and the stock 1000, last year we knew you as basically a stock 1000 guy. You had great results, and then at Indy you decided to do both, and then you had good results in super sport. And then now this year, I don't know if it's just because you're hurt or what, but it seems like you've put most of your eggs in the super sport basket. Is that going to continue that way, or is it just for a healing thing?
So yeah, we've purchased the big bike, the 1000, at the beginning of the year, and obviously how it was a new bike, everybody had a little trouble finding parts to go build the bikes, right? So the bike was pretty much built for Road Atlanta, sorry. But we were missing the body work, and we couldn't get our hands on no body work, so that's why I missed the stock 1000 race. And then I had the bike ready for VIR, and I went out for both qualifyings, but unfortunately after my get off in qualifying 2 on the super sport, I hurt a few ribs, and I just couldn't bear with the pain while riding the big bike. That thing's a monster, so I kind of stepped away from it since the 600's a little bit easier to ride, and just concentrated on that this weekend. The weekend turned around pretty big at how it started, but we ended up with good results in the 600 class, and the plans is to hopefully race both at Road America, because the track has always treated me well. So we'll see how we do this year, you know.
Stefano, let's talk about the injuries a little bit, because you had gotten hurt at Road Atlanta and Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and we didn't know it in that crash that people saw where Rocco Landers went off, but it knocked your pipe up in the air and you continued on, but we didn't really realize until later that you had gotten hurt. Was that was from that collision? Can you tell us about that injury?
So yeah, I think once that whole situation happened, I think once the bike hit in the left side of the bike and the right side of the bike rotated itself into the left side, and I hit my boot, and I think it caused my leg to over rotate my ankle towards the front. So at that point, I didn't really feel the pain when it happened, and I actually pulled off the racetrack in race 1 because the pipe was too banged up, and I didn't want to ruin the motor in anyhow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's honestly why I pulled off. And then once I went to hop off the bike and I stepped on my leg, I started feeling the pain, but it wasn't nothing serious, right? So that's why we went out in race 2 and gave it what we could. And then unfortunately, I had a big get off at VIR, and that one hurt me quite a bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of been cumulative for you, Stefano. So how's it sounds like it's your ankle is more than your foot. So, or tell us what that is, but how's that now? And how's the situation with the rest of your body going into Summit Point this weekend for this new race you're doing?
So my ankle's pretty much good. I was okay with it after a week. It was just sore. After my get off in VIR, I'm not sure what's wrong with me. I haven't really want to go get checked out. I'm pretty sure it's a rib. It's probably bruised or fractured. I doubt it's broken because I can breathe, and it's painful, but it's not extremely painful, right? And that's why I'm heading into Summit Point. How Paul mentioned earlier, this is kind of how I make my living. So I gotta bear with the pain sometimes and just gotta do what I have to do, you know. So we'll roll into Summit and see who's there and what we have to do, and hopefully it'll be a somewhat okay weekend for me with not a lot of fast riders there, hopefully.
That's probably one of those things, I guess you don't know until you're there, right? I mean, you pull into the paddock, you unload your stuff, and you start looking around to see what other guys are there.
Correct. So this weekend is actually Memorial Weekend. So it's normally a big weekend where everybody shows up. So I'm expecting a few fast guys to show up, like Frankie Babushka. He's been around the paddock for some time too. And Mark Heckles will probably be there as well, racing. Xavier was supposed to be there, but unfortunately he suffered a crash at VIR2 and he actually broke his hand.
Oh.
So he's recuperating now, and I don't think we'll see him at Road America. I think he's trying to make plans to go to the other coast. So my teammate will go to the other coast. I have no plans on going to the other coast at the moment. So I think we'll see. We're both injured, but we're both ready to keep racing. You know, we love this, and this is what we like to do. So.
Last year, Stefano, when you jumped on the Kawasaki ZX6R, what was the decision that made you do that and continue for this year? Obviously, I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that you've done well and you've always been a real good rider on a Supersport, a 600 class machine. Tell us about how you made that decision last year and then going into this year.
So yeah, last year I've been racing a Kawasaki because they have the best contingency program, obviously, right? And that's what helps you pay the bills. So at the middle of last year, we've been seeing Richie do very well on the bike, and the bike offers contingency as well. So I purchased the bike to go club racing mostly, and then since it was Indy and a new track, everybody was gonna be fresh to the track, you know. I kind of saw like, hey, maybe I can do good in the class as well, right? So that's kind of was the decision maker because it was a new track and everybody was going to be fresh, right? I know I have the talent to keep up with these guys. It's just a fact of putting the puzzle together, right? They have been in the class for quite a few years, and I'll tell you what, doing 19 laps at 100% pace it's hard. It's very hard.
Stefano, so a couple of years ago, we had you on the podcast. We did a video version of it at New Jersey Motorsports Park, I remember, and a lot's changed for you since then. One of the things is we remember that you had a, quote, civilian job that you were doing. Now, you're not doing that now, but are you working outside of this racing and chasing contingency? Is there other things that you do for income?
So right now I'm mostly based on motorcycles. Everything involves motorcycles. So how you said, I changed contingency. I coach as well. I'm coaching a few young kids that race the Valley Cup at the moment. So hopefully we'll see what they can do, and once their season starts, you know. And actually, I'm also the distributor for Pirelli tires in all of Central America.
Oh wow. Wow.
So that's my other side business. My dad helps me as well, but that's my other income. I distribute Pirelli race tires to Central America and South America as well.
That's very cool.
Stefano, a couple of things. Which one of those two bikes is like your favorite bike to actually race? And part of that might be as far as the competition. Like I would think, looking from the outside in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you line up in a stock 1000 race, you feel like you have a better opportunity to win the race than you would lining up in a super sport race because of the two guys at the top that obviously are going really, really fast. Now, that's not to say it's not possible for you to win, because I definitely think it is. But as far as going into a weekend, you have to feel like your chances on the 1000 are better. Am I right, or am I blowing smoke?
I don't know. I maybe look at it differently. I want to show up, and as long as I do good on both of them, I'm happy, right? I obviously want to win, and I think I can win them both. It's just about putting the puzzle together, right? To be honest, this year, if you look at both classes, you have a lot of fast guys in both classes, and it kind of proved that at VIR, which is it's more of a rider track than a motorcycle track. At VIR, you had 6 guys in the stock class that could technically win by lap times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a hard question. For me, I think I would maybe say the 600 because of my size. After riding the big bike and jumping on the little bike, everything is much easier because everything's happening slower, I would say. So I would maybe go with the 600. I enjoy riding more of the 600 because I can throw it around easier.
Right.
The big bike is a little bit more tricky, and you have to respect it because that one can hurt you big time.
Right. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but you've always done your racing the way that you are now, right? I mean, you've never had that ride where somebody takes care of everything for you.
So I have once when it used to be AMA, I had a few rides. I rode for Triple Crown when it was around. I rode for RMR when it was around. I rode a few races for Vestra when they were around. But this is when I was very young, right? Lately, where my talent has been the best, I have not had the chance to go ride for somebody that'll take care of everything. Obviously, the paddock is kind of hurting with that right now.
Okay, you're sounding like a spaceman, so I'll talk for a minute and see if your connection gets a little bit better.
For my understanding, a lot of guys are paying for the rides, something like that right now, you know. And to be honest, hello.
Yeah, you're here.
Keep going.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. So I forgot even where I was at. I was trying to hurry up and get to a place with signal.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it seems like you're pretty comfortable doing it all yourself. I mean, I know the other way would probably be easier, and if it came about that you had that opportunity, I'm sure you'd jump on it. But you seem very good at what you're doing because you do so much of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Like how you said, I make so much of it, and to be honest, I enjoy working on the bike. I enjoy changing the tires throughout the qualifying. I enjoy doing these things, right? It makes me feel. I've had a lot of issues in the past where it's been a lot of mechanical mistakes, right? So it makes my mind clear that, hey, I did the work on the motorcycle. I know it's everything's put together the right way. Nothing's gonna fail on me, you know. So definitely, I will definitely say I'm comfortable doing the work myself. I have KWS helping me as well, and Thermosman suspension. KWS do the main work and builds the bikes from the beginning, and then I keep up with them. And then Thermosman, I've been with the guy for about 15 years, so he's my chassis guy, and we do it all old school without telemetry, but we have fun while doing it.
Stefano, is this just something where you have been involved in motorcycling for a long time, and you've picked this up as you've gone along and been able to do it? I mean, it's you wear kind of like this idea of two hats, the rider, the crew, and things like that. Is that just because of being around and being in the sport for a long time?
Yeah, I think so. I've learned a lot throughout the years, and obviously I learn something new every weekend, right? Even if it's with the bike or with my riding, that's the plan, to learn something new. And I think it makes you a better rider when you understand how the bike works and how stuff in the motorcycle works, you know?
Yeah. You know, the other thing I want to talk about with you is it's great to always see you at the track because it's such a family effort, and with your mom and dad. And, you know, on the top of the podcast, I mentioned about how it sticks in my head about whenever I think of Moto America, I think of Stefano Mesa and Supersport when you won that race, and, you know, with your dad and you were on in the press conference talking about getting him to quit smoking and all that. I want to kind of talk about some more of that because last year we had learned at Indy, I think it was, that you were your dad has been dealing with some health issues, and you were going to essentially donate a kidney to him. And I followed up this year with you on it. And can you tell that story a little bit about what transpired and what this current situation is with all that? It's really an interesting story about what a son can do or wants to do for a father.
Yeah, so how you mentioned, I was supposed to give my kidney to my father. It would be his second kidney now. So I went through all the testing throughout in the off season, And then the last test they did on me, they actually found blood in my urine. It was minimal, but at that point, they kind of ruled me out of the donor list. So at that point, they said I couldn't donate because I have I could have a kidney issue too. So we can't really look into it. There's only one procedure that can tell me what's really wrong with me. And the doctors had told us that it's not a good procedure to take because how it can tell us what's wrong, it could really ruin my kidney.
Wow.
So at this point, we're kind of stuck with my dad's situation. Unfortunately, I couldn't be the donor and they already ruled me out of the program. So at this point, we're just seeing what we can do for him and just try and make him as happy as possible, you know?
What is he on? Is he on a list for getting a donor kidney at some point?
So yeah, obviously he is on the list, but the list is obviously big. We don't even know how it works or what's gonna happen. So my mom is actually doing the testing now. She can be a donor, but she can donate one of hers, and they will find a match for my dad. It's called a swap. So that's what my mom is doing right now. She's doing all the testing to see if she could do that and then go from there. It was pretty sad I couldn't give the kidney to my dad because at the beginning all the tests were good and everything was a match, and then out of a sudden they tell me, oh well, now you can give the kidney, you have this issue as well, and it could be bad as well. So at that point you're like, well, you guys are doctors, you guys should know what's wrong with me, right?
Right.
And at this point they can even tell me what's wrong with me. So I don't know, it's kind of it's frustrating and it's sad, but I guess it's life and we just have to keep looking forward to it, right?
I wonder if it's a genetic thing, Stefano, you know, just whatever your father's dealing with, you know, you have some of that too because of your genetics.
So this has been asked before, and it's not because of the genetics. My dad actually didn't take care of a cold and ruined his kidneys.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So he had green mucus and he wasn't taking care of it how it should, and it created a clog in his kidneys, and that's how his kidneys deteriorated.
Does he currently have to go to dialysis?
So right now he's not on dialysis. The doctor told him he should be on dialysis, but at the moment he doesn't want to take that route. Eventually I think that's going to be the route he's going to have to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, it's whatever his decision is, right? Dialysis is very hard on the patient. It's like they say you have to do it 3 times a week, and they say after you're done every time, it feels like you just ran a marathon. So it's definitely very hard on the patient, on the heart, and on all the organs, right?
Yes.
Well, I hope he's all right because they're a pleasure to watch at the track. I sometimes just watch them like when you're practicing or racing or whatever, and I think it's something. Obviously, it causes them a little bit of stress, but you can tell overall they're just having a good time at the racetrack, and obviously it's something they enjoy doing. So it's good that you give them that because, like I said, that you can see that they enjoy it.
Yeah. Of course, how you say that's my dad's happy place, and like, he wants to be at the track before everybody, and he wants to be there Thursday morning, the first one's there. So it's pretty cool to have him support me that much, right? And obviously, he tells me, listen, I enjoy this probably more than you do. So
Right.
Let's go do it, you know?
Right. Now it's good to see. Is there, looking forward for the rest of the, excuse me, Moto America schedule, is there a track that you look forward to more than any other? And that might be based on the fact that you think that could give you the best opportunity of winning, or it's just a place that you enjoy riding around, which usually ends up being the same. But is there one that you're really looking forward to as far as giving you the best opportunity?
So I was really looking forward to VIR. It's always treated me very well, and it was my home track for a few years, right, when I was living up here in Raleigh. And that was one of my favorites, and I knew I was gonna have a good chance because I go very good there. I've always gone good there, and I think Road America might be very good for me. Since I've gone there the first time, it's always treated me well. So I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm hoping I can ride both bikes over there and pull some double duty, and hopefully do good on both bikes. You know.
Now, the reason you don't come out this direction, and by this direction I mean California and the Ridge, obviously. The reason you don't do that is that's a financial thing. Am I right?
Yeah, it's definitely a financial thing. To be honest, if I could go there and be like, all right, well, if I get decent results, I can pay for my trip, I would definitely do it. But to be honest, not even winning everything, I'll probably pay for my trip out there, you know? So I think this year I'm for sure not making the Ridge. I won't do that one. I might do Laguna Seca possibly. I'm not driving myself out there. I'll probably send the bike with somebody so it's affordable for me. And I'll probably send one of the bikes, which will probably be the 600, I would guess. I think I have to ride the big bike a little bit more since it's a new bike and it's a little different, right? We're dealing with a little issues here and there to try and figure it out. But I guess we plan everything with how the results go and how the financial situation is.
Okay, so if I sent Sean to your place with a van and a trailer and he could drive you out here, would you come?
And what about my tires and my fuel for the race?
Come on, Sean will buy the gas. Sean will do all the driving. You'll be really well rested.
I have the transport covered. I need funds for other things.
All right, then I will see if Sean can cash in some of his 401k money, and we'll get that to you.
A set of tires for a set of tires.
Absolutely. Hey, Stefano, I want to ask you a question about something that, you know, it's not as much of an issue this year, it seems. It hasn't been talked about, but heck, you know, I'm going to bring it up. So last year, of course, there was the whole thing about the displacement on that Kawasaki. And this year, you guys have got balancing. There's ballast weight on the bike. And I talked to Richie at Coda, and he felt like it could maybe help him a little bit. So I want to ask you, you obviously have the extra weight on your bike this year. You notice any difference in the bike from last year with that ballast?
So yeah, actually, when we rolled into Road Atlanta, I went to weigh the bike when I went through tech, and my bike was actually underweight. It was about 10 pounds underweight. So I had to go scramble for a few things to throw at it. We ended throwing on it a few sets of SBS brake pads on the battery tray to make the weight.
Wow.
That was the first time I rode the bike with the weight, and I'll tell you what, the Cowie is definitely a good bike, but throughout the middle of the race, it starts developing this chatter from somewhere that we haven't been able to catch. But I would agree with Richie. Maybe it helped us to set the bike down. The bike is very, very light in the front. So maybe putting the weight in the middle helped us put a little bit of weight in both sides of the bike, you know? So yeah. I would have to agree with Richie. Maybe it helped us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's precisely what Richie said. It depends on where you put the weight on the bike, but in some ways it can help. And, you know, I've talked to Chuck Axlin a little bit about it back in DP days. They would actually try to get the bike as light as possible. Then they go back in and try to put some weight on it here and there in order to kind of solve these. And it was exactly that. It was the chatter issues. So that has to do with not enough weight on the front end. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So for the newer 636, they kind of designed it around the guy that stunts. I forget his name, but that's why it has a little bit more torque than the old one, and I think it's a little bit more front end heavy. This is what I've been told, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. So I want to ask you something else. This is pretty interesting for us. One of the things we do in the press conferences is our Hispanic writers. We have them speak in their native language, and it was really fun to have you, Richie, and Sean Dillon Kelly on the podium. So you guys all spoke together. Is it what did you say to your fans during that time period? And what is it? How do you feel do you feel a sense of pride to be part of a podium that's all Latino or all Hispanic riders?
Well, what we tell the guys is pretty much we all said the same thing we said in English, just in Spanish.
Okay.
You know? We said how our race went, and that we all know they're watching us, right? Happy to know us up there. You know, Latinos have always been fast. If you remember Martin Cardenas, he was, till this point, he's probably still my favorite rider. And
I love that guy. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so the Latinos have always been fast, you know, and there's plenty of talent over in these Latino countries, you know. It's just a matter of fact that sometimes they can't afford it and they can expose themselves, you know.
Yeah. No, there's a good representation of Latino riders in our paddock, and it's really great. I mean, all of them do really well. And you know, I wondered if I mean, obviously riders have camaraderie between each other, but when you're in a country where English is a second language for you, I imagine you guys probably gravitate towards one another in the paddock. Do you hang out at all with SDK or Richie or, you know, Lucas De Silva or, oh no, Gabriel De Silva, or, you know, I'm trying to remember some of the other riders that we have, because we have a lot of them. Do you guys kind of get together a little bit?
So yeah, it's definitely cool to see all the other countries coming into here. We have a lot of Brazilians now. We have Colombians, Argentinians, Uruguayans. We have all over the place, you know. And definitely we all talk to each other at the track. We all have a rivalry, how you say. We all want to beat each other, but that stays in the track, I think. But yeah, it's definitely very cool to see a lot of the talent from outside of the country coming here and try and perform, you know.
I always used to tell Brandon Posh after the press conference that those guys were saying bad stuff about him, get him all scared.
It may be. Sometimes they might have thrown that little anchor there, you know, that bullet.
Yeah, you just got to listen for your name. If you hear your name come up when someone's speaking another language, you're like, uh-oh.
That's the bullet.
All right.
That's the bullet.
Stefano, we're going to let you go here. Sean will do a little sales pitch in a second, but I wanted to thank you for coming on. I want to wish you the best of luck this weekend. I hope you make lots of money. You need to save that money so you can drive to damn California, for God's sake.
Absolutely.
I know. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to rack up to see what I can do.
All right. Well, you be safe and heal up, though, okay?
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you for having me. Very appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, Stefano. And I want to mention one of the things that the riders really care a lot about on the track is the corner workers. And I've mentioned this the past couple of our podcasts, the fact that we really rely on a volunteer system for our corner marshals and the help. And when we're going into Road America, that's a big, long track and requires a lot of volunteers. And we're still hopeful to get more people involved. And, you know, there are a lot of areas that you can volunteer for Moto America, but it's really the best seat in the house to be out there on the track and, you know, be, you know, picking up bikes and dealing with the riders if they go off. And, you know, the riders really take a lot of, how do I put it? They actually, you know, really appreciate, that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry about appreciate the riders or the corner workers very much and take care of them and, you know, give them thumbs up. And, you know, sometimes it can be interesting when a corner worker is picking up a bike and a rider wants to try to get into the show again, but you know, they always appreciate it afterwards, all the work that's being done there. So I know Stefano feels the same way. And what you can do is get in touch with David Hawley, who is our U.S. corner marshal. You go to DHAWLEY at MotoAmerica.com and volunteer. And please join us. And like I said, best way to watch the race is right out there on the track. You don't have to pay to get in. It's all handled. You get a nice dinner and you get to deal with these really awesome riders that we have. So thanks for that. And again, thanks, Stefano.
All right, boys, you have a good rest of your week and a good weekend.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.